There we are.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Longbourn Literary Society's Society Papers. See, I never have this up where I can, and I never remember, but I think that's what it's called.
That's what it's called.
Right? We're happy here. We're happy to see you. Today it's just me and Leenie because Rose is on vacation with her family. So they're on their way to, I think she said Legoland and Harry Potter World or something like that. Yeah. So they're on the road on the way down there, and hopefully they're having a load of fun. So it's just us, and we're gonna go over some people had some self promos they wanted us to share, and I know Leenie has those, I believe. And then we'll share our updates, and then we'll just chat for a while.
Okay, I think there was only one. Here, just a sec. I'm going to actually share the screen that has it on. So give me 1 second. I should have set that up before, but I didn't.
You'll have that.
Often, yes.
There we are.
Okay.
I can turn the meet.
There we go. Cheryl, I'm going to make it big screen here, so we're going to hide.
Yay! I love those. I love the purple flowers, by the way.
Yeah. Cheryl has her book, New Beginnings, has been reduced in price. So on my screen, it's showing $3.99, and I am on the .com site, not the CA one. If I go to CA, let's see what it is in Canada. $5.03 in Canada. Oh, look, it's right next to mine.
Yay!
I didn't even
have the same.
Look at that. Yeah, so $3.99 in the US, and it looks like $5.03 is what it converts to in Canada. Don't know what it is in other places, but that is the reduced price. I don't remember what the price was, and she had mentioned as well that it's getting a lot of good reviews. So let's just go down here to where it shows through. Oh, look, some more of my stuff. Didn't plan that either.
It is. Lots of 4s and 5s.
Yeah, lots of 4s and 5s. You know, everything is above a 3, which is awesome. So there we go. Plug her this week. Take that away from there. There we are back again. So that was Cheryl's news for us. I did see, I know Deborah Ann didn't add it to our self-promo or anything, but I did see that she's going to have a book signing coming up somewhere sometime. So I'm hoping she'll let us know about that when.
Yes, I saw that too.
When the time comes. And I know it's Rose is part of us, but she's not here. So her blog tour, I think, just finished. I don't know, the Ardent Reader might have been the last stop. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, I think that might have been it. I know she left a really good review.
Yes, it was an excellent review, and I thought there was maybe a giveaway with it too, but
there might have been. I don't remember.
Well, while you're talking, maybe I'll look that up. We do have Ellen and Aubrey are with us watching, so we want to say hi to them. Facebook is curtailing a few things and changing a few things, so your names may show up, your comments may show up on the screen I'm looking at on my laptop and the one that Zoe's looking at. If not, I do have you over here on my phone so that I can get some little comments and see what's going on as well there with the live. Okay, back to you, Zoe, and I'll see if I can find that Rose thing while you're doing it. So I'm going to let you be full screen.
Okay. Hey, that works. Okay. Well, here's my updates. The sales of the newest book, Darcy's Surprise Betrothal, are very good still. It's gotten some pretty good reviews too. I'm very happy with it. Of course, I've been working on the next book, To Save Elizabeth, and it's right around 21,000 words. Didn't write yesterday, and I have not written today, and I'm probably not going to because there's a race tonight. But it's about halfway. I still don't have I'm hoping for mid-May for publication, but it might be later. I do have an Austin Authors post coming up on the last Monday of April, which is April 30th. And if you are a Kobo reader, my boxed set of the Darcy Marriage series is 40% off through Monday. So you go to Kobo and as a matter of fact, I think there's a link and it's on my author page somewhere. I don't think I've posted anything else since. Where that you can go to, they have a bunch of books that are on this 40% off sale. You can just go to Kobo and search the Darcy Marriage series or Zoe Burton, and you can find it. And then you use the code 40April, and that gets you 40% off. And I think I figured it out. That means you pay, instead of $4.99, you pay like $2.99 or something. I got a sticky note right here. And it has to be way down here because I can't see them when they're up there. But anyway, and it has to have black ink, like heavy black ink, because I can't see. So anyway, that goes on. There's the rest of today, all of tomorrow, and all of Monday. And I think that's basically my news. I don't think I have anything else.
Well, there is a question here for you, so I will reach out to you. Well, I'll say this first. Both Aubrey and Ellen seem to be having a little bit of trouble with Facebook. It's acting a bit weird, and Ellen couldn't see us on her screen, so I'm hoping that she'll be able to see us.
I hope.
And this is a question from Aubrey. She says, Zoe, are you writing longer books now, for example, novels versus novellas? Ellen found us.
Had my first couple years, I wrote a mix. And then last year, when I went full time, it just ended up being novellas for some inexplicable reason. I like my lipstick too. It's a unique. It's purple. Thank you, Rose Fairbanks. Anyway, I am trying. I do enjoy novels more than novellas. Writing it doesn't matter. I feel a little bit more satisfaction knowing I wrote this big, thick, I wrote that big, thick thing. But I like writing both. But these ones just seem to be, I am kind of aiming more towards the novel range. And I know they're short compared to other novels, even other JAF novels. So they're still on the shortish side, but I am trying to get more novel territory.
Well, what I keep hearing in the writing gals say on their podcast, they write sweet romance, is that 50,000 is normal for a romance novel.
Yeah.
So it's not short for a romance novel.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But some JAF authors write 100,000 words.
Yes.
And then people think like, oh, all novels have to be these great big long epic. And I can't do epic. Sorry. I think my longest book was like 65,000 words. So yeah, I don't have a lot to say. But thank you for asking, Aubrey. That's a really good question.
Yeah, I have a follow-up from her too. So
yeah.
I'll communicate that. I don't know if you can see them on your screen. I do have a few showing up on my laptop screen, but it's not everything is. Just in response to your comment about the 21,000 words now versus the time you think it will be published, it seemed like you were going for a novel. Was there more than that?
Yeah, I did. I do want this to be between 40 and 50,000.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, in general, last year I wrote a lot of novellas. It was all, I don't think I wrote, no, I take that back. I didn't publish Bodhi until January, but I wrote it in November. And that was the only novel I wrote all last year. But this is, I am trying to get to Save Elizabeth. I'm aiming for 40 to 50,000. And I don't know, it might go over.
Right. Yeah, Aubrey says she thinks it's a draft thing about the length. I agree. There's such a broad range in JAF where it's not as narrow on some things as others. Personally, I usually don't get novels. I don't have very many novels that are written. Most of mine end up being novellas. And I never set out to write a certain length. I just set out to write a story. And whatever it ends up being, 40,000 is what you consider in romance. That's the beginning of a novel, 40,000. I've had books that end at 38,000 words, and it's like, I could push it out 2,000 more, but I don't. I just want the story to be the story. And I've said that before, and I'll say it again, and I'll repeat myself over and over because that's just what I do. All right, my news. Let's see, what do I have? Oh wait, one more thing before that. I did find, hang on. I did find the, there we go. I'm going to make this all by itself. The Ardent Reader did have Rose on there and gave her a lovely review on there, and I didn't look down to see if there was any sort of giveaway with it or anything, but there were some outtakes and things. Yes, look, there is
Yes.
There is a giveaway, and there are 31 hours left to get in on that. So theardentreader.net is the address for that, and you can read the review there about Rose's book.
It's a good one too.
I have not read all of it. I've read parts of it, and Rose knows that I probably won't be able to read the whole thing, just because it's a very emotional story, and I don't always do well with those. So I have to be careful with myself in that regard.
Right.
I know that sounds wimpy to some people, but too bad. That's the way it is.
I survived it. I was surprised, but I did. I survived it.
I am going to also pull up something here. I'll talk at the same time, maybe. Okay. Sometimes talking and doing something is just a little bit hard. Speaking of something that's a little bit emotional, my last book that I wrote, which is what I'm trying to pull up for you right now, I did get it was a little bit emotional in there, not angsty emotional, but it was sadness emotional, I guess. I hear feedback somewhere. Isn't it me, or I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I can't watch the video because I don't have the app.
Yeah.
So
weird.
I don't know.
Maybe I had something open that.
Yeah, you guys, you're the only thing I have open on my laptop. I have.
Yeah. No idea. Must be just echoing back at me. Anyway. Yes, I am hearing myself. And I don't know.
Spooky.
It's annoying. I may have to disconnect myself and reconnect.
Okay.
Let me try that actually.
Oh, there she is. That's her new book. Is it on? There she is. She's coming back.
Yeah.
No, she's not. I don't know what. There she is. Is it better?
Oh, I'm still hearing myself. I think. No, maybe I'm better. Okay, anyway, this is my new book, Mr. Darcy's Comfort. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to give away too much. I haven't posted too much about it yet. I'd like people to kind of be able to read it because there are a few unique twists in it that I don't want to ruin for people. But it's on sale now. It will be released on Thursday. So that's my big news. I did start posting it. I will, hang on one moment, doing all my clicking over here. Okay, if you haven't been to this place before, darcyandlizzie.com. I have posted at other forums as well. This is the one that I consistently post at now, because I just had to limit myself time-wise as to how many I could post. In the summer, I posted another one at a Happy Assembly, but during the school year, I just don't have time. Well, I barely have time to do the one.
Oh, look, so, there's my cover and Rose's, and yours.
There's Rose. Yeah. They have a whole list of stories over here that you can read. They're works in progresses that are being posted. You can comment on them if you haven't ever been there before. It's, a free sign up. So far, I always put my books on this forum, and you can find them there. There's that I posted just today before we did this. Then you just scroll through, and 3 chapters is what happened to fit today. So that's how much we got on there today. And there'll be another 3 chapters next week. So you pay by having to wait, basically.
Yeah.
Because you can't post more than a certain number of words at a time when you're doing it. What else was it? I don't think I have anything else really. I mean, I've got some things I'm working on. Compounding Caroline, I'm still getting that ready to go out. It has finished posting at my blog. So this Thursday and next Thursday, there won't be a story posted at my blog. I'm working on the next one, and I'm kind of struggling with it a little bit. I think I need to figure out maybe a little bit about the tropes and what's pushing and pulling them apart and all that sort of thing a little bit more, but I do have a few thousand words of it started. I'm many thousands of words into the sequel to Mr. Darcy's Comfort, which is called Master of Longbourn. I finally gave it a title, and believe it or not, it is about Mr. Collins. He is going to be my romantic hero. I know you would never think to put those 2 concepts together, but it's working. I think it's working quite well. I hope people will actually read it. I've had some who have read it and said, they really enjoy Mr. Collins that I'm writing. You have to remember that it's me writing it, so it's going to be different than what you've probably seen before, because I tend to do that sort of thing. We have Kimberly is with us now too, so.
Yes. She linked. Why can I not see the comments?
I don't know.
It wants me. See, I don't do Facebook so I've got it in the browser, and it wants me. It won't even let me see the comments. It wants me to do it in the app. I'm not asking to open. I'm not asking to open the video. I want to see the comments.
Yeah, I had to open the video in order to see the comments. So.
Okay, well, I guess I'm just not seeing comments. All right? There's no point in getting my knickers in a twist.
Yeah.
So there.
All right. Yeah.
We were talking about Master of Longbourn. Mr. Collins. It's very good.
Yeah. He's and if you watch on Mondays on my blog, I will have some little snippets from it, so you can kind of get a little taste of what it's about, and who Mr. Collins is and how I've developed his character and why he maybe talks so many, spits out so many words at a time. He has a reason for that. He has a reason for a lot of the things that he does. So it'll be interesting to read. I did have a chance to go to a school this week. My friend teaches grade 3 and 4. Well, she teaches grade 4, but she also teaches grade 3 creative writing. So her grade 3s had written some stories, and I had been in when they were first developing some stories a while back. So she had me come back in and look at some of the stories that they've written now to see, what they're doing and to give them a little bit of feedback. So I did that Thursday. Thursday I went in and I read their stories and put a few little comments on their papers, and it goes back to what we were saying last week about how you can read something with a lot of errors in it or things that aren't quite accurate or whatever. These are grade 3s who are just learning to write. They were just practicing dialogue. They don't know to start a new paragraph with each speaker, and they don't know complex sentence structures yet, but they're trying to do complex sentence structures. So you have to look beyond all of those things to the story ideas that are there. And there were some that were very unique. They were very creative in the way that they had presented something. They were very clever in some of the things that they did. Some had a unique little twist to the ending, and there was one boy just had a beautiful first sentence that just kind of drew you in and wanted you to find out about the dragons that were in his world. Still needs to work on showing and not telling and developing his world and all of that, but there's just these little nuggets of goodness that are in there that you can see, and that's what you want to encourage. And I think that's what, when I read, I can see those things, even if it's published, I can still see where the story is and where the goodness is, and I don't necessarily get distracted and it's like, well, you paid for that, you should have perfection. It doesn't bother me, really, as long as they have a good story structure and the ending is good. That's the one thing that really bugs me, is if the ending is bad, and I usually read endings first just to find out so that I know whether I'm going to spend my time reading this story. All right, I have a question here from Aubrey Anderson. Can or will you share about how you have written Mr. Collins? As in, have you changed his origins or had something change his character, an event or a tragedy? Well, we don't know a lot about his origins from the original. We know that he's related to the Bennets. He's a distant cousin of some sort. We know that he talks a lot when he's there. He seems to be kind of pompous and arrogant. But I've changed that he's
he still appears.
He still appears pompous and arrogant at times because the words come out, the words spill out. He's anxious. He wants to fit in. He wants to be accepted. He wants to have true friends. And it does stem from his family, his upbringing. His father was not nice. His father was very mean, would get abusive, would call him names, those sorts of things. I don't go into detail about that. You get a little bit here and there, like when he's thinking about his father screaming and how it would end up, he would end up with a bruise and locked in his room for the night, that sort of thing. And so that's kind of where I've taken him, is I've given him a reason for his lots of words and his appearance to others. But once you get past looking at the appearance of what you see at first, you get an understanding of the man behind it. And he has asked for help. This is maybe a little spoiler, I don't know. But he's asked for help from Darcy in how to win a lady's affection. And Bingley has stepped in to help him kind of change up his way of dressing and being a little bit more sure of himself, that sort of thing. So it's a little bit fun while we're learning about him. So that is how I've developed him so far. I haven't, gotten to the end, so there could be a little bit more development in there that I haven't even discovered yet, but I have a pretty good understanding of who he is and why he is the way he is and that sort of thing. I had a thought, and my thought has completely flown out of my head. Isn't that awful when that happens?
I hate it when it happens.
Yeah. Anyway, Collins is interested in Miss Kitty, so he would like to have her become his wife, and we're working on getting that set up. Oh, yes, there it came back.
Yay.
Yes, Aubrey says, so basically a different interpretation of why he behaves the way he does and going beyond that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Almost a Cinderella story, yes.
I like that analogy. Wait, where'd you go? Oh, there you are.
It was starting to echo again, so I just...
Is she still there? There she is.
Yeah.
I turned around and you were gone.
It was starting to echo again, so I just wanted to duck out and come back in because that seemed to fix it the last time. That brings me to the point, like these little children on the front page of their paper, they had who, what, where, some of those questions and what they were planning to do. And it was very, very brief, just a few little notes, just to show that they had thought some before they started. And we were just talking about my developing Mr. Collins. Kind of goes with some of the personal development that I've done this week, because I'm always trying to learn something, to grow, to reinforce, all of those things. I don't know if that just comes from being a teacher, because we do that all the time as teachers.
We do.
I don't know, but I've always enjoyed learning about things that I enjoy. There, things that I don't enjoy, I will avoid, just like anyone else. But that kind of ties in because one of the podcasts that I just listened to this morning, actually, it was the writing gals, and they were sharing some of their ideas of how they plot and get through little blocks of, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know where I'm going from here, that sort of thing, because it happens to all of us. One of the things that I found was really interesting in what they were saying is they've tried several different methods, and they've kind of adapted different methods to find out what works best for them. Not all of them are extreme outliners. There's at least one who claims to be a pantser, as we're called, the ones that don't outline. I don't really like that term applied to myself too much, because even though I start without an outline, I'm not starting without a plan.
Right.
Like I've got, it's maybe not down on paper, or there's very little down on paper, like those kids that have just the few questions answered. I might only have that much down on paper when I start, but I have a plan and I know where I'm going. I may not know exactly how I'm going to get there, and I kind of discover that as I go along. So I guess that's the part where people see that more as pantsing than planning or plotting. So Zoe, how do you get ready to write a story?
I can be a total pantser. Like, just give me an idea and I will start writing. But at some point, generally by the end of the first chapter, the first 4,000 words, I discover that if I want to get this story done in a timely manner, I better have some clue. So I do things like here's my calendar. I usually draw a calendar in my notebook that I showed you before. But this time I just didn't feel like taking the time. So I printed off a whole year of 1811 blank calendars. And I'll just, put in, this is what I want to happen. I want this to happen and this to happen and this to happen. And I put where. And I tried, you talked about, trying different charts and things. I got these charts and I've done like very little in them because I don't know what his goals and motivations are. I just know I want to tell the story. So this time I did something new. I took those forms with the peanut butter on them, and I wrote out all of my conflict because I think it was you that told me you had heard that you need to understand your conflict thoroughly. Yeah. And I said, oh. So I got 3 pages of jam. You know how Jane Austen used to like cross write? I got stuff written everywhere, all little corners. But I got 3 pages of handwritten stuff about and so basically, I can totally pants, and I have in the past. Most of my stories have been total. Whatever comes out is what goes on the page. But I learned last November during Nano that if I want to write and actually get it out in a timely manner, I need to have a clue. And so that's what I do. I will a lot of times too, for the goals and motivations and conflicts, I have little charts. Let me see if I have one for this. And I just put conflict, a C for conflict, a V for villain, and an R for resolution. Just a little 3-line. I don't have one for this story, and the rest are all clipped. Just a little 3-line thing. And I figure out, okay, and I might have 4 or 5 of those and only address 1 or 2 in the story. But this is what I'll do is I will just put this in here. There's got to be one in here somewhere. Sure, there it is. You can see it. I don't know if you can see it, but at the top, there's this little thing that says CVR. Or what is that called? Yeah, conflict, villain, and resolution. And I might do 3 or 4 of those for a story. And that way I know, I know what, because, there's generally 3 or 4 villains in a JAF. There's Lady Catherine, Mr. Collins, Caroline. Those are the main ones. And so, but I've quit trying to cram everybody in a story too. I used to try to cram every villain in a story, and you just can't. But I guess I'm getting long-winded, but that's basically what I do. At the very least, this is the first time I've ever written it out so that I understood exactly what happened. And I started with the accident that Lizzie and her family have, and how Brutus came into it and saved her, and then Collins' reaction when he found out she was alive, and I got the whole 9 yards, and then everything else that's going to happen all the way to the resolution, what happens when it's discovered, and that when it's discovered. I can't say too much without giving it away, but
you don't want to give it away.
Yeah. So I can't outline. I look and I've taught kids to outline. Well, sort of. I know the concept. I understand the concept. But for me, it's just like filling out these silly charts. And they're not silly, I guess, but I don't know what to say. How do I know what is his internal motivation? He wants to get married. I don't know. So, and when I write an outline, I look at that and I go, oh my gosh, how the heck do I know what to put in here? And it just it really makes writing not so much fun. So I am learning though to lay some things out ahead of time. I have found some clue of where we're going.
Right.
And then I break my pants off, but then I pants. But I do have to have some clue.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's learning as you go and changing and adapting and figuring out what works best for you.
Yeah. And I think that changes as you mature as a writer.
Yeah.
And because I know Rose didn't used to outline, and now she does.
She's a very good outliner.
She's very good.
Yeah. I will share. I pulled up something, so I'm going to make it full screen here so that you can see it. So it will show some of the things that I've been working on for the Collins story. So if you don't want to, have any spoilers, you may want to plug your ears and look away. I don't know. But what I usually start with is I just have a title, which I didn't even have a title when I began this one. It was just called a sequel. I have a place to put some information. Then I usually have a chapters thing, which I'm starting to fill out. I've gotten to chapter 5. Because this is a sequel, I've copied down the timeline that I had for the previous one. So the things that happened in the previous are black. The things that are happening now are purple, so that I can keep them separate. And any of the sort of main character type things that I needed to remember are there. A lot of times I've had like the blurb or something. This time, the last couple of times, I've changed it a little so that I have like my hero, what his external goal is, what his internal goal is, what his flaws are, what his strengths are. And these are just very basic when I'm beginning. His conflict, the main obstacle is himself, his view of himself, his awkwardness. And then I leave some things empty. We've got just basic little jot notes about the first couple chapters. I don't think that's going to ruin too much if I let you see those. We've got Collins observing himself. He has a conversation with Elizabeth, and he comes up with the idea that he's going to ask Darcy to help him. So then what I've done in the purple, and I've done this the last couple of times, I've used different methods to do this to decide if I'm hitting the points that I need to or not. This is all in Word. Yeah, I use Word for everything. It's just, I find it very easy, and I just write beginning to end. I don't write in scenes, so it works quite well for me. I can't jump around because I find I have to just linearly get there. I can't say that word. But in the purple, I've then gone through and I've analyzed how do these events, what I've just written, how does that move my plot forward? How does that show any character development? How is it actually going to apply to what I'm writing? And I struggle with it still because but I don't do that before I write it. I do that after I've written it. I've thought about it a lot. I know what I want to have happen, and then I just say, okay, here you are, characters. This is what I would like to have. And I put them in a place, and then I follow them through it because I know my characters well, to see how they're going to respond, because they might not respond the way that I think that they might respond, because their character, one character might say something, and well, they wouldn't respond with that kind of a comeback or whatever. So it does change it. We've got a couple of comments here. Aubrey is an extreme outliner.
Is she?
Yeah.
I can't handle that.
I do start with the beginning.
More power to you.
I do. She asks, do you guys start with a beginning and an ending? I start with the beginning, and I know where I want to go. I even have some ideas in my head about where I would hope they'll hit, and the characters will do this or that, but I don't always. I know where I want the conflict to come in from. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I find if I sit down and start to draw all of that out, I get very overwhelmed and close down creatively. So I can't do that. That's why I do it as I go, to make sure that I'm hitting all the points that I need to hit along the way, the 3-act structure type things. Yeah, I had to teach outlining too when I was teaching grammar and composition. It was probably the hardest thing I had to teach because I was so bad at it. Yeah, I do organize. See, I do organize just because I don't use an outline. I do organize what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And I have used a notebook with sticky notes, colorful sticky notes. I like doing that, and sometimes I still do it when I'm brainstorming, but I find it's just safer if I have it on the computer in one spot, a little bit harder to lose. I have it saved in Dropbox so I can access it from wherever I need to access it from. I don't have to be on my computer to do it, so it's there. I don't have to have my notebook with me.
I don't know where. All I know is on the end of my story is that they're going to get married.
Aubrey says that she thinks it's maybe because she's really nosy. She reads plot summaries before films before she goes to see them. If she can, because she hates surprises. I am the same way. I will look for spoiler reviews on things so that I can find out more about the story before I actually purchase a story or before I go to see a movie or anything like that. I do that a lot. That's why I read the ending before too. One of the reasons is I like to see the journey of how you get to that ending. And if I've read the ending, then I get to see how it's built too. It doesn't ruin the journey for me at all to do that. In fact, I think it enhances it. And if I read the ending and I just go, oh, well, that's kind of dumb, then I don't spend any time reading the book. Because I have read books, you've spent 2, 3, 4 hours or whatever reading these books, and then you get to an ending and you're like, that's a letdown. I've just wasted, however many hours. And I know there are many people who think that that's a horrible thing to do, but that's what I do.
You know what? I read too. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I read recently, not a Jaff. It wasn't a Jaff. And I had grown to trust this author because it was part of a series. And I was disappointed with the end of the last book. And I wish I had read the end before I got too far. Because I've always done it since I was probably in my 20s. But I only read the last page. I don't read the whole last chapter. Used to be the last paragraph, then it became the last page. But yeah, I do, because I don't. To me, it's a trust issue, because I need to know for sure that this is going to end well.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I don't want to read it if it's not going to end in a way that's going to be satisfactory. A happy for now is just not enough for me.
Yeah, I've written a couple of happy for nows now.
Yeah. Well, I trust you because I know you. But
when you said, you have your villains and you need to have your villains in there, and I'm thinking, how many stories do I have now where there's no real villain in there? Yeah, a totally different way of approaching things. Ellen says that the computer is not safe when you have kids. My daughter deleted everything. Oh my goodness. On her tablet. Luckily, she was able to retrieve it. I had a memory stick with 5 years, I think, of notes and tests and everything when I was teaching that got corrupted. Something happened to it, and we were able to take it in, and someone was able to retrieve everything that was on it. But oh my goodness, that was scary. That's why I use Dropbox, because it automatically saves it to the cloud. So it's not going to, if my computer goes or gets stolen or something, I can still get to it. So it's a little bit safer. I still should probably back it up somewhere else as well.
Yeah.
I just haven't.
See, I don't trust clouds.
Yeah.
They rain on you. But so I have this big honking external hard drive.
Ah, very nice.
Yes.
I do, once I get done with my manuscript, I use pressbooks.com to do my formatting, and each book has its own site. It's basically set up kind of like a WordPress site where you would go in and make a blog post, and each blog post is one chapter. Is kind of that's what it looks like, and I think it is built on the WordPress platform. And then you can export your files and things in different formats from that. So I do have all my books stored there as well. So there is a second place where they can be found. And then I have, I think, all of them, or almost all of them, maybe not all of them, on darcyandlizzie.com too. So in their archives, you can find those as well. So I do have them a few places.
I want to say all of my books are at Darcy and Lizzie too.
Yeah, there might be a few from the beginning before I was at a happy assembly, and I didn't know about Darcy and Lizzie at first. So there
Yeah.
may be a few that didn't get over
I
there,
should,
short stories maybe. That
yeah,
didn't get
I
over.
should look. I know I do have some, do have some at a happy assembly.
And
I
I
should,
don't know what I will do once I start writing things that are non-Jaff. So
yeah.
I'm not, because then they don't really fit with the Darcy and Lizzie type thing. I know they do
That's
have originals, but if they're too far off, I don't know that I would put them there.
right. That you made me think of something. And that is that if and when I ever write an original, I will probably torture myself with these form things and really analyze my characters so I know them. Is it darcyandlizzie.com? Oh, because you spelled it wrong, Zoe. That's a T, an R, not a T. Um, but I thought about that when we were talking. I thought if I ever do an original, and I would someday like to do an original.
Oh, I know I'm going to.
Yeah, then I will probably do that. I would actually like to write Regencies and Westerns because I really did enjoy writing Bogey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, I've really enjoyed, well, there's several that I've enjoyed writing that they're Jaff, but they're, it's about Caroline, or it's about Henry Crawford, or even this one about Mr. Collins. It's so new compared to what you can do with Darcy and Elizabeth, because they're characters that you kind of have to make yourself.
right.
A Very Merry Christmas was another one that I really enjoyed writing. Becoming Entangled with Anne DeBoer
Yeah.
and those. And then there was His Beautiful Bee, which is an original story, but it has some touches of Austen in it. I really
Yes.
enjoyed doing that. Can't wait to do another one of those, but as we've said before, it has to wait because it was not a good seller. So that has to wait until later maybe. Although right now, nothing's selling real well right now for me. So maybe that's my clue that it's time to try something new. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah. Aubrey's been down the Tudor era rabbit hole, but she also
Has
enjoys
she?
Westerns and Regencies. I haven't really been down any others besides Regency right now. I don't really get into the Tudor area that much, that era. It's not a favorite. I know Rose likes that sort of thing
Yeah.
a lot. I've actually been looking at some contemporaries more lately.
Yeah.
Sweet romance contemporaries, which have been kind of fun to read.
I think though, if I did either regular Regency or a Western, I would get a different pen name.
Yeah.
I would. And I'll tell you why, because the Autobots are going to have all my Jaff readers on it, and Jaff readers are Jaff readers.
Mm-hmm.
And a large majority of them are not regular Regency readers, or if I write Westerns, are not Western readers. And so I would want my books to be seen by more people who will read Regencies or Westerns. So if I come in with a totally new pen name, there's no Autobots attached to that.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And I have a better chance, in my opinion, I have a better chance of making a success of it, because more than just Jaff readers are going to see it. Matter of fact, Jaff readers might just not see it. But anyway, I Promise 2 is the first book I have on Darcy and Lizzie. I went and looked.
Oh, okay.
I must have them all up there. But anyway, that's what I think I would do if it was me. When at some point in the future when I do, that might be what I do is just use a different pen name.
Yeah. Ellen reads all eras, she says, as long as it's Jaff. Some of her favorites are not Regencies, so
yeah.
She's one of those rare ones that likes things that are not
Yes, we love readers like Ellen.
Yes. Yeah. I enjoy readers who will, try something a little different every now and then.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have anything else for today.
I don't think I do.
We don't have Rose here, so it's going to be a little bit less just because there's one less person.
Yep.
Aubrey thinks it's smart that you would change pen names between Jaff and romance novels. I haven't decided if I'll do that or if I'll just keep my one pen name. I don't know, because I do plan to write things that are not just Jaff, but I don't know if I want to manage 2 pen names and have 2 of everything,
right.
2 Facebook pages, 2 websites, 2, so I don't know. I do understand the also bots like that makes a lot of sense, and I have heard that before too.
And I have that. I wrote the racing series, but that's not the novel that I had plotted. The Jaff racing novel that I had plotted, but I think that if I ever write that novel, it's not going to be Jaff, and it's going to come out with a different pen name.
Right. Yeah, that could be good.
Yeah, because that's one of those passion things like we talked about before, like you just talked about. So there's things that you write because you love them and you want food, and there's things that you write that you love that you have to kind of intersperse in between, and so that's one of those love projects.
Right.
But if I write it, when I write it, it's gonna be not Jaff.
Right.
I think I'll probably write it with the names, because in my heart that's what it is, and then just change all the names.
Right.
Publish.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I know there is a market for sports, sweet romance.
There
sports.
is. But you know what? It's hard to find clean. Most of those people that write sports stuff don't write clean.
You should join the Writing Gals group, because I know they've talked about sports, and it's all sweet romance that they talk about. So they might have some, when you're ready, especially to do that.
Yeah.
There might be some good advice there.
Yeah.
From them. Yeah. Which I like that. They're sweet writers and they write romance. And share their knowledge, because a lot of times it's hard to compare what happens in the sweet romance community compared to the steamy romance. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, that's probably another topic for another time.
Yeah.
Any last things? We can wait and see if there are any last questions that anyone would have or comments.
We'll have to give them a few seconds.
Yeah, I know we're lagging behind, so we'll make sure we don't click off too quickly or anything.
I still keep intending to do a live in my group, and I just feel like I'm overwhelmed and I never get it done. I always forget, like it's Saturday. Yesterday was Monday.
I know.
Saturday. So, but I do intend to.
I did manage to get been trying to do some 5-minute video. Is supposed to do better on Facebook as far as being shown to people. So I have been trying to include more of that in, just so that people can see things more, that it'll be served to them more, I guess is a good way to put it. And I did do a 5-minute Fiction Friday, so I just set my timer for 5 minutes and read something from a book and share that. And I have been putting these also on YouTube so that there's more places.
Any questions yet?
I don't have any questions, and it just kicked me out.
Uh-oh.
I know. Facebook.
Lovely place, Facebook.
It's a good place. It's just going through some growing pains.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll just,
I got to tell you guys, I steal a lot of, you can't get your teacher license unless you've passed the class where you steal from other teachers, okay? I know that sounds bad, but seriously, teachers borrow all the time. And Eileen and I both were teachers. We share. And we'll say all the time, can I steal that from you? Well, half of my blog ideas have come from Eileen or from Leenie. Yeah, and I keep looking at her Monday thing going, but I don't want to steal every idea she has. So.
It's collaborative. There we go.
Collaboration. I do that. I say that all the time. You have to pass that class before you get your teacher license. Because we do.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. I got back on there. I've got some comments.
Okay.
Aubrey says, have you ever considered writing a PnP variation based on a popular TV show trope, like a PnP Games of Thrones or Outlander, that sort of thing? No, I haven't.
I haven't either. But Rose may have.
Yeah, Rose may have. That's what I was just thinking. I actually don't even watch those shows. I haven't seen a single episode of Outlander or Game of Thrones or most any show that's on TV right now. I just don't watch TV.
Yeah. I watch NASCAR racing. I watch Deadliest Catch and The Secrets of Oak Island.
I suppose I could do a Jaff sort of beat Bobby play type thing.
You could.
That's kind of the shows that I watch, or the main Cabin Masters. You could have something where they're
House Hunters
section, or we could do something like that. But no, and I don't know what the copyright things would be if you were using Game of Thrones or Outlander, because those are current.
Yeah,
they're not old out of copyright.
What's his name? That guy that wrote Game of Thrones isn't even done with the series, is what I heard.
Yeah.
Like there's more books coming.
I would be cautious doing anything like that anyway, for that reason, but I don't watch them, so I really can't do it. I watch boring informational type stuff. No, they're not boring. They're interesting. They're just not stories. Ellen says, I would love to see a Pride and Prejudice mashup with Game of Thrones. I actually have no desire to even read or see Game of Thrones, so I'll leave that one for someone else. And Aubrey added, as in, do you feel like you need to be inspired by what you write in Jaff, or can you just take a general idea and go with it?
I think I can take a general idea.
Yeah.
And go. I mean, really, that's kind of the basis of what I write is anyway. It's just a general idea.
Yeah, it's
I think, in my opinion, anyway. I could be wrong, but
I don't know. It's hard to say that there's a difference between that, because it's general ideas that inspire me and start me down the road to writing. It's that question about, what if Darcy actually didn't mind being engaged to Anne, but then what if that betrothal came to a tragic end? What if Mr. Collins isn't who he appears to be? Yeah. So I don't know if my brain makes a clear distinction between the two. But you do get ideas everywhere. Like if you are watching a show, watched Taming of the Shrew for English class here just recently. You know, you could be watching something like that and you could get an idea for a story, or you could be watching Game of Thrones and you could get an idea for a story. The ideas are not necessarily copyrighted.
Yeah, you can't copyright an idea.
No. So you could be inspired by what you see, and you could write something based on that, not copying. It's a fine line, I know. Okay, so Aubrey's saying, yeah, something fanfic-like, not exactly a copy, but something where with Outlander, Elizabeth is actually from a different time.
Yeah, time travel.
So yeah, time travel. I don't like time travel.
I don't either.
I've read a few, and I don't mind them, but they're not my favorite. So I don't know that I would write one.
They kind of. I can't explain how they just kind of. I don't want to say they give me the heebie-jeebies, but I just can't wrap my brain around time travel ones.
Yeah, it just isn't. I don't know. Everybody has their likes, right?
Yeah.
Some people like time travel. There was Lost in Austin, did very well, and that's a time travel one.
I've not seen that either.
I watched it. I didn't really enjoy it because it's time travel. Basically, I don't. It doesn't matter what it is. It's not really my thing, that's all. Let's see. There's a couple more comments here, so I'm just reading through them. Okay. One of my friends who is a new writer, this is Aubrey, by the way, she has a hard time sticking to a genre, so she won't write in one genre. She hops through them. She wrote one romance, then a YA, and now she's writing a children's book. I actually have a children's book I'd like to put out. I would like to hop around from genre to genre a little bit. If she's going to publish, she's going to need to kind of
stick with one.
Yeah, you can do several, but you have to realize that you're going to have more than one thing in one genre.
Yeah.
Before people start to really take you seriously in that genre, because if they read you, they've only got one, and if they liked it, there's nothing to go back to. So, that it could be a little tricky for her, but, if you want to.
You have to work harder. Yeah. You have to work harder, but it can be done.
I know there are, writers that, I'm going to reference the Writing Gals again. I know that some of them write YA, and they write regular sweet romance for adults, and they've got a few other urban fantasy or something like that as well. So you can do it. It's just you have to realize that it may take a little bit longer to get your following built up.
Yeah. Ellen
doesn't like time travel or vampires either. I don't either. I don't like vampires either.
No. Or werewolves. The only book like that I read was one that was on AHA, and then she published it about the jaguar. The name I own it. I read that one, and it just kind of drew me in. But that's not something I normally like. It's not one of those things that my brain has a hard time wrapping around.
And it's not something I'm going to go back to and reread.
Yeah.
Right? I might read it once just because I'm curious, but it's not something I'm going to go back to over and over. And if I'm going to write something, it needs to be something that I'm going to want to go back to over and over, because I'm going to have to write it over and over. So,
that's something we should talk about on a future broadcast, is what it's like to go back and reread our stuff.
Right. Yeah.
We should talk about that on a future broadcast.
Yeah. Aubrey said it's a problem. She's published a few and she's not getting much traction. She's more of an inspired writer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't just wait for your inspiration. And I think that comes to the point where we're talking about the passion projects and the money projects, if you want to call them that. It sounds a little crass, but that's what they are. Ones that you love, that you can make a few dollars off of, and then the ones that you really love and you really desire to write. And you kind of have to learn to balance those if you want to eat food every day.
If you want to be a published author, I mean, I can't, that's not what I'm trying to say. If you want to make this your career and you want to make a living at it,
you
can't be an inspired writer. You have to be disciplined. And then I've discovered this. I mean, like, I knew it, but you know what I mean? It really hit me over the last year that you really have to every day. Mm-hmm. And I've not written in 2 days. So, I'm kicking myself, but yeah.
I try not to write on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, I do my blog stuff, so I am writing, but I'm not writing stories. Although I don't have the Thursday story this week to get scheduled and put everything posted for, so I might be able to do a little writing, or I might just read a book. I haven't done that in a while either.
I started memory again. So now I'm sucked into memory.
I was just going to say, just to be clear, you can still be inspired when you're writing things that you're writing that you know are going to sell well.
Yes.
I think you can find inspiration in any idea.
Yes.
Really, you can. And I really think, this is my personal opinion, I don't know if anyone will agree with me or not, but I really think you have to have a certain amount of passion for what you're doing in order for it to be successful. You can't just put something out there because this sort of book sells well. Well, you might sell well, but you're not going to enjoy it. And I think the readers aren't going to maybe get the same experience that they would if you actually had some heart and soul into it.
And we was it us that was talking about this? Why would you? Maybe I was reading it somewhere. A lot of writers, left a job that, I mean, it's not that I hated teaching. I hated what education has become. We're just not going to get into that, but I just couldn't take it anymore. So, why would you? So you have to have the passion for what you're writing, because why would you have left a good paying, steady job to become a full-time writer if you didn't like what you're writing? If you're miserable, why train misery for misery?
Right.
You really do. You need to have that passion, because it's pointless. And readers are going to know. They're going to be like, man, she really hated this. I've had people, when I wrote the one with Caroline. Listen to me. Oh, Caroline. Mm. Caroline Censure. See, it's how much I hated that book. But my beta readers would tell me, I can tell that this is where you struggled in writing this book, because before it flowed and after it flowed, and this is where she gave you trouble. The hag, she gave me trouble. So they can tell. Readers can tell if you don't love what you're doing. So, yeah, I agree. You have to have passion. You got to love your writing.
You have to find what you're going to like about that. One more thing here I smell my food cooking in the other room. It's smelling very good. It's getting close to eating time. My husband is cooking supper tonight.
Not going out?
No, he's going to cook for us tonight. So we're having hamburgers and French fries. And, well, I'm not having French fries. I'm going to have just potato, because I can't do French fries without it hurting. Aubrey says, I'm working on my discipline as well. We all are, all the time. She still lives at home and has a lot of family stuff going on. I have kids who were in college and are living at home, and we have a lot of family stuff going on. So I kind of understand that too, just from the other side of it, not from the student side of it. It's hard to be disciplined about writing every day. Yes, it always is. Well, it's not so much for me anymore, because I just have a schedule and I just do it. So it's
she's awesome. Leenie is awesome. On the other hand, I didn't feel good today. It's spring, it's allergy season. I've had sinus issues, and I'm like, oh, all right. But Leenie is just like a machine. She is very disciplined. So I strive to be more like Leenie and less like me.
Yeah, well, Leenie becomes a bit of a workaholic too, so be careful. Um, she Aubrey would like writing to be a career for her, which is totally doable.
You can totally do it.
Totally doable. She has plenty of ideas, but starting is the hardest thing. Literally the first paragraph of every chapter. Well, the first paragraph of the book is usually not hard for me to begin. I don't find starting the story hard. I find scene changes difficult, so that would be the beginning of chapters. Usually, sometimes there's 2 scenes per chapter, especially the ones that I write for my blog, because each week is kind of a new scene or another part of a scene. So those transitions I find difficult. There are a few other things that I find difficult too. I've been working on the show don't tell, the delving deeper into the point of view, so it's more deep point of view. You get more of the thoughts and feelings of the characters. Some of those things. It's just pick. This is what I always say. Pick one thing, work on that.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like you're comfortable with that, not that you've perfected it, but that you're comfortable with it. Pick another thing. Keep working on that other thing that you had been working on. Don't lose that, but then start working on the new thing. So if it's just writing each day, set a time or a certain amount of words.
Yeah, 15 minutes a day. Just sit down and write 15 minutes a day.
And, just start with one thing. And I try to do that with each project that I'm writing too. Like, even if it's just like adding to how I'm keeping my notes for my outlines, analyzing it as I go rather than waiting to the end to analyze it, or halfway through when I feel like I'm stuck. I'm just learning about, maybe picking the tropes before you begin so that you know which tropes you're going to have in there, and you can kind of then think about naturally what's going to push or pull the characters together or apart. So there's always something to learn. If you can always be learning and growing, I think you'll really enjoy writing.
Yeah.
You don't ever arrive. You don't get to a certain point and then I don't think you should get to a certain point and you stop and you say, okay, I'm what I want to be, where I need to be, and this is where I'm going to stay, because then I think you'll stagnate. I think you need to keep pushing yourself a little. Yeah.
Always room for improvement.
Yeah. And it could be the same thing. You could be working on deep point of view, and maybe you just want to get a little bit deeper. Maybe you want to try it in a first person tense instead of a third person tense, or vice versa if you're a first person writer. You can try it in Regency and then try it in Western. You can try it in contemporary. There's always something where you can kind of challenge yourself a little bit.
Right.
You can try writing something really long, or you can say, no, I'm only going to write 20,000 words, which sounds easier to do than writing 60,000. Not always.
You really got to be precise.
Yeah, you've got to be very concise and precise with what you're doing, and you still have to have that full story structure and everything. So anyway, I hear people actually starting to get food onto plates now, and that means the teens are eating. So if I want some food, I should probably get out there soon.
All right. Well, we had a great time.
Yeah, we'll say goodbye until next week, and I will put something up on the event page or wherever to let you know how it's going to happen, where it's going to happen. We keep having to work with how Facebook is shifting things around. It's out of our hands. We just have to kind of go with the flow.
Yeah.
It's been great. We're glad that you could be with us today, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.